I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get through to him. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get up. And I don't know how that ended. I don't know.
Yes, that is Amber Heard on the stand last week. This is the case, as you know, Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard for $50 million, saying that she libeled him in a Washington Post op-ed, calling him a domestic violence abuser. And then she is the counter plaintiff. She is countersuing him for $100 million, saying, hey, you tried to destroy my career. Now, what are they going to be talking about? We're going to take you back to some of the, as Philip Holloway would say, juicy testimony concerning the finger incident that occurred in March 2015. Who was it that cut off Johnny Depp's finger? Was it Amber Heard in throwing a vodka bottle, or was it Johnny Depp? Well, let's listen to Amber Heard's rendition of the story first.
So stupid. Sorry. It was like a light bulb switch went off. And he starts screaming. I don't know if he backhanded me or hit me normally. I don't really recall, but I remember it sent me down to the ground. I remember by the time I picked myself off the floor, I stand up. He's got a bottle in his hand, and he threw it at me. It missed, thankfully, but I kind of pulled myself back into the bar area. I don't know how much time passed, but at some point he had a broken bottle up against my face, neck area by my jawline, and he told me he'd carve up my face. I don't know at what point in the evening. I couldn't tell you what sequence.
Now let's listen to what Johnny Depp, who was there filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5, had to say about this incident.
After Ms. Heard threw the vodka bottle at you and severed your finger, what, if anything, did she say when she saw the injury?
I don't recall anything, but just, it was almost like white noise, just someone yelling. It was just a high-pitched, constant attack of insults. It was just jumbled words to me in a very high frequency, and I was in a bit of shock, you know. I was in shock.
You mentioned that you reached out to Dr. Kipper. Did you receive medical attention after that?
Yes. Jerry Judge, Malcolm Connolly, I believe Debbie Lloyd was there. Yes, Debbie Lloyd was there. Ben King had arrived as well.
Who is Ben King?
Ben King he's essentially a house, sort of an estate manager, and we'd worked together in London a few times, and he's a wonderful guy. So I brought Ben along to Australia to manage everything. He's very good and very nice. And then there was also I mentioned Malcolm and Jerry. Yeah, they were there as well.
Let me bring on Dina Dahl, Law&Crime legal analyst, who will also join Karen Felicia Nance to discuss this case. Dina, when I'm listening to that, because I listen more closely when I can hear these thoughts and the replays, she said that Johnny Depp had the vodka bottle or a bottle up against her throat trying to cut her, and she mentioned, like, you know, you would always have in a bind here and trying to cut her, but she didn't have any marks on her, and he had a fingertip that were cut off. So how does the jury assess that?
Now, both of these parties are giving like very detailed accounts of what they say happened. It's, of course, completely opposite. So I think the jury ends up really relying a lot on, the other evidence, the photographs, the other witnesses at the time, what did they say happened at the moment? I mean, Australia is looking to become kind of a key part of this case. It's the one time that anybody is injured and actually gets medical care throughout this relationship. It's Johnny Depp. And there are these, witnesses there at the time. So I think that this Australia incident might end up being, very key for the jury, actually.
Yeah, and Karen Nance, there's another incident where supposedly Johnny Depp held her hostage for 3 days in Australia. She said that she was penetrated by a bottle and that she actually was bleeding from her vagina, but she never got any medical treatment, and there's no pictures of that. Does the jury find a disconnect that we have pictures of Johnny Depp, but we don't have pictures of her except for and I won't say except lightly, except for the bruising, but not like the incident where you could be bleeding and you don't go to the emergency room or anything like that?
I totally agree, Linda. And I think that that's going to put some doubt in the jury's mind about her testimony. And we have someone that's not a member of his team in terms of Debbie, the nurse, the concierge nurse, Debbie Lloyd, and she is a mandatory reporter. So if she saw some bruising, even the slightest inference that there was some domestic abuse going on or that Johnny was abusing Amber, then she has a duty to report that. And we heard her testify. She didn't testify to any of that. So it's not just Johnny's team that we're relying on. We're talking about someone that had a medical degree and had a responsibility to report any abuse, and she didn't do so. So I think that also does not bode well for Amber's team.
Okay, so the jury is going to hear, though, from Johnny Depp telling someone that he actually cut off his own finger. Why don't we listen to what he says, and let's talk about it in the context of a domestic violence victim.
Which, if any, of the medical professionals that you saw that day did you tell what happened to your finger?
When Malcolm and Dr. Kip, when they took me to, first we went to Malcolm's apartment where he was staying while we were shooting the film, and tried to clean my hand because I had worked the day before, and obviously when you're playing pirate, Captain Jack or whatever, they paint with alcohol, with rubbing alcohol. They paint dirt all into your hands and into your face and everything. So they were worried about getting my finger clean, so they tried doing that at Malcolm's. And then Kipper said, no, we've got to get to emergency room, and we've got to get hold of the tip of his finger. So we went to the emergency room. The doctor asked me what happened, and I lied to him. I said that I had smashed it in these large accordion doors, that it got caught in the accordion doors.
Why would you lie about that?
I lied because I didn't want to disclose that it was what it was. I didn't want to disclose that it had been. I didn't want to disclose that it had been misheard, that it had thrown a vodka bottle at me and then took my finger off. I didn't want to get her in trouble. I didn't want to. I tried to just keep things as copacetic and as easy as possible for everyone. I did not want to put her name in that mix.
And And Karen Nance, I think this was about the time they were first married, even though they had been together for a period of time. But we heard from the domestic violence expert, from Amber Heard, that indeed victims will try to cover for their abuser. They'll try to lie about it because they're embarrassed. They don't want the world to know that they've been abused. And they also love maybe their abuser and they don't want to get them in trouble. All of that actually fits in with what the expert for Amber Heard said, trying to explain her behavior. It also explains Johnny Depp's behavior, doesn't it?
It does. And I think that Johnny Depp's attorney would do well, or his attorney team would do well, to bring up an expert, which, you know, it may be in their redirect of their witnesses, or if they're able to bring forth the witnesses on Amber's case in chief, to indicate that men are victims of domestic violence. 1 in 4 women are victims in their lifetime, but 1 in 10 men are victims. And so I think to put that in context for most people is something that we're not familiar with. And this case will bring to that light that, yes, men suffer from domestic violence as well, even someone as famous and revered as Johnny Depp. So I think that it's an education on a number of avenues for all of us to take heed, even if they believe Amber, even if they don't believe Johnny Depp. At least we're going to be educated that it's not unusual, and it does occur. Men are victims of domestic violence as well as women.
And Dina Dahl, I was with someone this morning. You know, I have Law&Crime in the background on the days I have to host, who, when we did the recap with Johnny Depp or talked about it briefly, said to me, well, to me, the tapes of Amber Heard are the most important, where she said, you know, tell the world, Johnny, you're a victim, meaning to say that no one's going to believe you, Johnny Depp, is a victim of domestic abuse. And the tape where she said, yeah, I hit you, I started the fight, I got violent, blah, blah, blah. So does the jury feel the same way, or does the jury say, hey, these two had to be in a toxic relationship, toxicity must have gone to domestic violence, and therefore, you know, neither of you win?
Well, you know, here's the thing in this case is it's not really about whether or not Johnny Depp was abused. You know, he doesn't have to prove that. She doesn't even have to disprove that. I mean, it goes to his theory of what their relationship was like. But this is really only about, did he ever abuse her? And so although it is helpful, I think especially statements that were made at the time lend so much more credibility to the jury than even the statements they make on the stand. But at the end of the day, if the jury believes that, yes, he was a victim, but she was also a victim, you know, Johnny Depp loses his case. So I think to kind of always remember, you know, at the end of the day, that's what needs to be proved. You know, it's an uphill battle in a way, I think, for Johnny Depp.
But Karen Nance, let me go then from what Dina said. If he's able to prove that he didn't abuse her, so everything is important as to what happened in the past. People are saying, oh, it's irrelevant. It's very important as to what happened in the past. If he didn't abuse her and he wins his defamation claim, her counterclaim is that you tried to destroy my career. Did her claims of domestic violence get stopped when she signed the agreement for the divorce? And is this a new cause of action? How is this working?
Well, I think we have to look at the op-ed piece, right, which was in 2018, so December of 2018. So the case has to be proven when we're looking at her counterclaim as to when she's alleging that the abuse occurred. We've heard testimony that it occurred even prior to their marriage, but she's saying it continued up through 2016, obviously, up into her divorce. So I think it's really important, and we haven't really heard, and she's still in the middle of her direct testimony. I'm sure we will get the causal connection between her allegation that it occurred up to the point of 2016 and beyond, if she had continued contact, even though they had divorced up to that point. So I think that we just need to hear if she establishes that in her direct from her examination by her attorneys.
All right, very interesting. As you can say facts matter, what the jury perceives matter, but ultimately the law and the charge from the judge is also going to matter. And by the way, we know we have closings on May 27th because it turns out there was a timeline in this case for presentation, for cross, for anticipation of redirect by witnesses. Wow. We'll cover it all here on the Law and Crime Network. Well, stay with us. After this break, we'll see, and I'll let you know whether Georgia versus Ryan Duke is live in that courtroom. And if it is, I'll take you right in here at the Law and Crime Network only. Stay with us.